Brentford game got cancelled. Brighton game got cancelled. Nobody wanna take vaccine, so it's quarantine for the whole team. Brentford game got cancelled. Brighton game got cancelled. Nobody wanna take vaccine, so it's quarantine for the whole team. Woo! COVID doing them rounds. Kieran McKenna didn't want none of that, so we ran up to Ipswich Town. Can't find him, man, I lost and found. And farewell to Michael Carrick. Ralf Rangnick him and took that crown. Ralf Rangnick him and took that. Woo! Woo! Yo, this is the OT99 Banter room where opinions are shared and smoke gets served. Look, we're back again with another show. It's your boy Therms, and I'm joined today by NK and Edwin, the usual culprits. And today we are going to talk about the lack of football. Look, COVID struck the Premier League like no other time except the beginning of the outbreak back, last year. And we're in a position where we're at the hinges of whether the Premier League is going to continue or not. Man United ourselves has had 2 games cancelled, and we're going to talk about how that's affecting us, what we need, in terms of our current fixture lists and how that impacts us. And then we'll get into some other news with regards to the transfers, the highlights of what's been happening with Lingard, Martial, the players that we've been linked with in midfield, so Hydera, Babika Kamara, etc. So we're going to talk about that. But guys, let's start off with the COVID sort of outbreak in our club, man. So Manchester United, obviously, we don't know who actually had COVID. That's sort of protecting people's names. But I know there was a recent audit and they said about 16% of the Premier League weren't vaccinated. So it seems like those, it's weird because then the way it's ravaging the Premier League and stopping games, you would have thought that percentage would have been higher. But what's your thoughts on sort of the way how things are panning out? Because obviously you saw Arsenal. They've leapfrogged Manchester United now. They're sitting pretty in 4th at the minute. And obviously Man United had a good run. We had 10 games or so where it was relatively, easy games where we thought we would have at least picked up 8 wins, maybe 2 draws or maybe 10 wins. But the more games we miss, the more that run will be mixed, diluted now with bigger teams that we may have to face. So what's your thoughts on it, man? Do you think that we should have a circuit break, like what's being said? And I think, those discussions already had about that. Or do you think that we should keep going, man, and just push through? Take it away.
I think we should keep going. I think we should keep going. I mean, we played last year when there wasn't no vaccine or anything like that.
Yeah.
We still played through that. Yes, there wasn't no fans in the stadium, but we still played through that. And then now too, you're making fans get, what do you call it? They saw all this protocol in there for the fans to make sure that the fans still come to the games and everything. So games are getting cancelled because players are suffering from COVID, which it just tells you that most of the club they just kind of like came down on the restrictions, because games are going on in Spain, games are going on in Germany, like everywhere. No one is cancelling it. Even championship games are going on, except for the Premiership, So it just tells you that the Premier League clubs actually gave too much freedom to the players that they were not watching COVID like that. And then now that this one kind of like came in too. And personally too, I feel like some of the managers too are actually using the situation to, get some kind of like time to rest too, to the advantage. Because, I mean, United, for example, I don't think United wanted to play that Brentford game. I really don't think United wanted to play that Brentford game. They didn't. I think, because the thing is, after Norwich, they only had 2 days to train to go play against Brentford. Bro, we were corrupt against Norwich. Corrupt. And imagine going to Brentford where you're not going to have like no training, nothing, and then you're going to go back in there too with maybe 1 or 2 players out of COVID too. That just adds to your worries already, So I think they just done that too. And one thing that I know is if a player in the team get COVID, any player that's not vaccinated also have to quarantine. Now, so it might be a case where only 1 or 2 people got the COVID, but if they were around players who hasn't been vaccinated, then they have to quarantine too. Because if you look at United, are the only club that are not really saying who got it and who doesn't have it. A lot of clubs are always saying it too. And my guess is that United,
they're trying to protect.
No, it's not about protect, because the thing is, when Henderson had COVID, they told us. that he had COVID.
Yeah.
Greenwood, like what do you call it? Last month he had COVID. Only came out to say Greenwood wasn't available because he had COVID.
Yeah.
So this case here, I think the reason why they didn't want to say anything was that I think it was actually a small number of players here that actually had COVID, but because some of the players had to quarantine because they didn't have the vaccine, that's what created the main problem. Because if you look at it here, Chelsea tried it, but Chelsea went and said, "Oh, we want our game postponed because we got 9 players out." When in reality, here, only 4 had COVID and the remaining were out through injuries. So, but then they tried to add it to like, "Oh, we got 9 first team players out." But reality is some of them were already out without the injuries, but man. So I think now going for, I think they put a rule in now that if you have 14 players with goalkeepers, you play.
Yeah.
And I think that's what needs to be like that because I feel like some teams are using that to advantage. You saw Tottenham, where to COVID came up, bro, against Liverpool. Man, them guys have so much.
That was
energy.
one of the best games I've seen.
One of the best games, bro. When you thinking this, I hope United get that bounce, bro. I hope we get that bounce, bro, man. And then that's players are going to be tired. Where we're going to be energetic, bro, man. So if you see Tottenham players play like that as a manager, why would you not want like another like a week or 2 off, bro? You know?
Do you know what's interesting, right? I was reading the Manchester Evening News articles like online, yeah, and they were saying how. So we've staggered our people returning back to training, right? But they said that Mason Greenwood, who else? Mason Greenwood, Jesse Lingard, and who else? Luke Shaw. They came to training and then left after 10 minutes. So it's making me think that they could have potentially went there, tested, positive result, and then got sent back home. But it's not really confirmed, but
But then, what was it today or last week one?
This is today.
But then Greenwood had COVID like last month. Can he do another COVID right after recovering from another one? I don't know. That's just strange, bro.
Maybe he got Delta, then he caught Omicron, bro. I don't know, bro. But it's a mad one.
See, and this is, and then you know what? This is the problem here, Like these players are not taking care of themselves, catching COVID, and it's affecting fans because some fans are booking flight tickets from all over the world, yeah, and then do that when you got guys like Foden and Grealish, yeah, in a nightclub, partying hard, bro. They must have partying hard. So if they go and then catch Corona, yeah, and then they pass it to their team just because of them being selfish, going to clubbing, yeah. Now thousands of fans, yeah, have to then to then lose money on flights, hotels, just because two guys who are still going to get paid, whether they go COVID or not, or whatever happens, they still getting paid, and they chose to go clubbing, but I say poor all these guys in quarantine, but let's enjoy the football, bro. Let us enjoy football, bro.
It's true. Did you hear that? Manchester United club they were giving away the food that they made for the match day against. Who was it against?
Right.
Who was it? Brighton or whoever it is. Our match got postponed.
Yeah.
And we was giving it away to charity because obviously there was no fans to consume the food or anything like that. So it's one of those ones. I mean, they did a good deed, but obviously, like you say, people are flying, trying to watch these games, and then the games are getting cancelled, and it's things like that where people are partying unnecessarily during the Christmas period ain't helping things. You know what I mean? It ain't helping things. You easily transmit the disease. But I think the good thing, the positive, I would say, even though negatively, like teams are leapfrogging us that are getting games, and that mental thing about being 6 points adrift or 3 points adrift or whatever it is from the teams above us. I think the positive that I want to see is the fact that Varane needed that time to establish his full fitness. Each game that's got cancelled is another game where those people that weren't fit, truly weren't fit, have the ability to get fit again and jump back in a starting lineup, or at least support our squad in being able to fight for this top 4 challenge and maybe even a title, man. We're still in the FA Cup, we're still in Champions League and Premier League. There's points to play for at the end of the day. Top 4 is going to be a bit of a mad one because obviously Tottenham seems like they're finding their feet now, finding form. You've got West Ham still doing their thing, and obviously Arsenal looks like they're up and down here and there, but they're picking up points. So we have to keep an eye on that. But Edwin, so this one, yeah. So I've been reading in the reports of, obviously you've been hearing about Manchester United. Ralf Rangnick's coming, since, there's been a lot of changes from Ed Woodward's not changed. He's just gone into a consultancy role now. He's not leaving, apparently. But we've seen a lot of our backroom staff change now. From Carrick, Phelan's still there, but a few guys has moved on now, and now we're looking at new personnel. So Ralf Rangnick, obviously, having a history of the RB group, Haidara, is that how you say his name? He's been one of the names that is frequently mentioned, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you thought about him, and do you think he's a good fit for Manchester United? And if he is, what do you think he can bring, or lack of?
I think what I saw some clips of him. I haven't seen him in a full game, but just clips. He looks very strong, good on the ball, and he's a great tackler. And we don't have a tackler in the middle of the field.
Yeah,
we've got people with energy in the Fred, and also we've got McTominay, but he's not like his attributes are not like, I'm a tackler, I'm a ball winner. So we don't actually have a ball winning midfielder that can just sit there. And I think he brings that balance we need in midfield. And I think someone like him will be good because he's coming from a team that our manager's been at. So he understands the type of football and what's required. It won't, obviously he's coming to the Premiership, it's not as easy as that, but at least he will slip into the formation, the style of play easier. He would have to probably get used to the pace of the Premiership, but at least with the system, is a system that he'll be aware of because of our manager's time there. So I think when you look at the signing, it's a smart signing. Instead of just signing players like we've done in the past just to sign. We're actually looking for we need a midfielder, but let's get someone that understands his system. There's not point bringing someone that doesn't understand the system, because already if he doesn't understand the Premiership, that's one thing, but not understanding the system, that's too much to try and take on. So I think it's a good signing because, and the manager, if our manager goes for him, he knows it. You know what I mean? So
that's what you want, right? You want a manager that has experience, at least has knowledge of these players that they're looking at, extensive knowledge, knows that this person will be specific for the system and can get the best out of this player, hopefully from the get-go, right? Instead of buying someone and you have to bed them in, and we will have to bed in, but you just hope that this guy, from his knowledge and experience of working with Haidara, you'll hope that he knows how to utilize him from the get-go to give him the best chances of doing well. But look, I took upon myself to do a bit of digging into Haidara, because you know what, it's funny, it's like, obviously we've all watched RB Salzburg and Leipzig and all of these RB groups in Champions League or in German football and all of that stuff, but we don't, well, me anyway, I don't really pay attention to specific players. So you would have seen them, but then that player cam is not really there. So what I've done is try to look at the next best thing, which is stats, because obviously YouTube is not really going to help me in that sense. So look, let's get into it then. Let me bring up the stats then of Haidara, and then we can look at Kamara and then compare them, and let's see how they look against what we currently got in midfield, which is McTominay and Fred. So obviously Ralf Rangnick knows this guy, knows him pretty well, Haidara, and as you can see here, looking at these stats, what it tells me is that this guy is a well-rounded type of guy, if stats is anything to go by. Obviously you need the eye test and stats together, but basically what this is a data over 365 days, as you can see here, and it's approximately about 3,000 plus minutes of footballing activity per player. And what it's showing here is the top rows, like the more of the attacking style stuff, like the assists and shots on goal and all of that stuff, like the more of the advanced playmaker type stuff. The middle one, again, is more of the same stuff, but attributes that you'll find in an advanced playmaker as well. The top one's like striker, advanced playmaker, attacker. Middle one, you can say is both as well. Box to box, advanced playmaker as well. And then the bottom one, this one is more of the defensive duties. So the pressures, the tackles, interceptions, and all of that stuff, blocks. So what this is showing is how many, the average of what they do within per 90 minutes in this column here. And then on the right-hand side, in the percentiles here, where they fall in when compared to the their players in the top 5 leagues. So that would be La Liga, Prem, Bundesliga, etc. So basically, when I was looking at this, I kind of got excited because what I'm seeing in Haidara is we're seeing non-penalty goals, right? He's in the top 88 percentile, right? What we're seeing is I think this is non-penalty goals or something like that. Again, it's very high, 93 percentile, right? Shots total 91. He's ranking very high, right? Not so good for assists, right? But he's ranking really high in terms of some of the other features, like you can see. Like, and what stood out to me is that he's got a really balanced sort of profile here in terms of his statistics. So he's someone that can support from a creative perspective, but also he's got he's not so bad with like pressures, as you can see here, 61 and then 52 on tackle. So he's averaging there, but he's really high for his block. So he's someone that it shows me that he gets around gets around the pitch, blocking, intercepting, and aerial duels one as well is pretty high there as well. So what's your thoughts on Amadou Haidara? Is there anything that concerns you when you look at these stats, or is there anything that you see here and you're thinking, you know what, this will help benefit and complement our team?
Obviously, he's not got assists, and we don't need him for that, so that doesn't really matter. Shot creating is quite high. What's this thing above shot creating? MP.
I think this is like NP. I think it's expected goals and
it's expected
assists.
Goals.
Okay, so
I think it's non-penalty or something like that.
I think what I do like about it is the progressive passing, because we play quite negative in terms of side to side. So someone that is progressive, their passing forward is quite high. He carries the ball quite well. His dribbling is not too, his touches is not too bad. Pressuring is okay. His blocks is quite good. His tackles is all right. So yeah, overall is all right. You know what? It's better than what we have. Anything's better than what we have in terms of what we need in that centre of park.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Stats tell one thing, but you know, he might even end up being a bit better.
I mean, or a bit worse, you know. Hopefully a bit better, because you know, Ralf Rangnick as you know, he's one of the names that popped up. You know, we're not linked. There's a lot of midfielders out there that we can be going for, as you know, but Kessier and all of these guys as well is another name mentioned. But these two are Haidara is one of the names that is prominently being mentioned and is strong links. So with Manchester United, so obviously I thought it would be, you know, beneficial to look at some of their stats and talk about them. So NK, what are you thinking with Haidara? Is he someone that you feel like, have you seen him play? If you haven't, from looking at this, do you feel like he's someone that can sort of support?
I mean, you know what? Even this guy, I remember when United played him, I think it was last season Champions League. He actually scored against us. He actually did score against us. I remember actually watching him. Some tall guy too. Very tall too. I remember seeing things a bit like Pogba's height, man. And he actually bossed the midfield that day, man. He ran that midfield that kind of a day.
That shows why it's aerial one. That shows why it's aerials one.
He's a very tall guy too, an African too, bro, man. So he's a hard-working guy, bro.
Mali, isn't it?
Huh?
Mali.
Yeah, from Mali. So he's a very hard-working guy too. And recently too, I actually was watching PSG versus them. And he was once again too. He actually caught my eye too. Because normally, you know, because United have a midfield problem. Anytime you watch this kind of like games and you see people there, one thing about him too, but he's a typical box-to-box kind of a guy. But with me going forward, I don't want United to buy players to fit a certain manager kind of like style. I want players that can play more than 2 roles in a team. You know. For example, this guy, he looked like he can play like box to box. Can he play as a DM? I don't think he can play as a DM as like just that one. But box to box, he can play that box to box, and he got a bit of goals in him too.
His stats reminds me a bit like and Herrera in a sense where he had a bit of that attacking sense and got around defensively. Right. And he's someone that will fit anyone's manager style, like you said. You don't want to leave a manager and restarting again.
Right, and this is what, when United are going for midfield, this is what they want to go on. I want guys that can adapt into different system. For example, right now, you go buy Declan Rice. Declan Rice can only play as a holding DM guy. So if you want to go and you want to play like a different kind of like position where you want him to press high up the pitch, he ain't gonna do that. Declan Rice is built for a possession, a long kind of like team where if you are a team that's kind of a possession, you just sit him at the back and say, look, I want you to be the destroyer, and then that's about it too. You know, he ain't gonna be going up and down like that. I saw him West Ham vs United. He went one up there, and then that's it. His energy level was gone, but because his job was to do very simple stuff, you know. I think going forward, these are the kind of a players. If you say next summer, if we get in January, and next summer whether it's Poch coming in or Ten Hag coming in like that, they could use him because he can adapt into different positions. Look at Kante. Kante plays so many roles here for so many managers, and going forward, that's the kind of like players you want to buy. Like Bruno, for example. Bruno is a 10. So if you have a system that don't fit in number 10, where do you play Bruno?
Yeah.
You know? So I want you, and then this guy look like he can play like in different kind of a position. That's one thing I like too. And I heard he's gonna cost 30 million. So for 30 million getting someone like that too, he's probably better than the two guys that we go anyways. You know,
how old is he as well?
I think he's 20, 22,
no more than
23.
24. I think Kamara, who we'll talk about in a second, is about 20. Is about 20. I think Haider is 23. He's 23. But I think when I'm looking at these stats in a bit more,
he's 23.
He can grow too. He can grow and be improved too, bro. He can improve, bro.
Definitely, he's got a lot more room for growth, and I feel like he's probably someone that's gone under the radar, potentially. And you know, Ralf Rangnick'S is not a guy that is known for signing superstars. You know, they're more of the low-key guys, and then eventually they turn into superstars. There's one thing I was looking at in these stats, which was a little bit concerning, and maybe it's just because he's more of a riskier type passer than not, and I don't know. We'll see how this sort of compares with the other guys. But we're looking at his pass completion, right? So his passes attempted, right? So it's the middle box. The first one in the middle box is like, so he does about roughly around 54 passes per 90 minutes attempted, and that's ranking at about 59%. And then his pass completion is 81%, which seems on paper high, but according to the rest of like the 5 leagues that is paired up against, it's only about 32%. So I'm just thinking, like, is it so low because he's maybe playing more of a risky pass? But then you look at his assists, and his assists is very low. So it's just one of those things I want to, like, he's positive with his play, but at the same time, like, is pass completion when compared to some of these other counterparts.
Yeah, but I see with pass completion, you need to be careful with that, because one of the players that have a lot of pass completion are always going to be centre backs, you know, and players who don't make risky passes, you know. Yeah. So, for example, you go check like Maguire pass completion right now, probably like in the 90s, bro, because all they're doing is just giving it to other man's, bro, man. Yeah. Probably, I mean, what do you call it? McTominay, which I'm sure we're going to look at McTominay one very soon too. I'm sure his passing completion is probably going to be higher too, but because some players out there, play to stats. Yeah. And when they are on the pitch, they're like, look, I want to be able to make 30 complete passes today. And how do you make 30 complete passes without losing the ball? By giving it the simplest kind of like passes, just like doing that. And some players actually do that to make their stat better. And that's why you don't see players like McTominay don't try like no ambitious pass at all prior to like Ralf coming in, because they want to lead the game. And then when the stat has shown, like McTominay made 5 passes today and all of them were complete passes. Mm-hmm. And then for someone who really start to feel like, oh, he had a good game. But if you actually watch the games, you're going to see that, bro, that pass was just back to the goalkeeper, bro.
I hear you. I think that makes sense. So, I mean, like I say, I mean, I'm going to be keeping a bit more closer eye on this guy, and hopefully, when I get to watch a few of these games, hopefully I like what I see. So look, we're moving on to Babaku Kamara. So he's another guy. He plays for Marseille at the minute. His contract is also coming to an end. He's going to be free in the summer. As we know, Haidara, his contract's till 2025, so he'll be associated with a fee if we're looking to get
30 million. He got a 30 million release clause.
Got a 30 million release clause, so we'll have to pay that in order to price him away. But Babaku Kamara is someone that is younger at the minute. So he's 22 years old, I believe, just a year younger. And he's someone that is going free in January. So we're looking at his stats, and immediately what pops out to me is a guy who is definitely more of a defensive type of guy in terms of his expected goals, non-penalty expected goals, and non-penalty expected assists, and expected goals, etc. is low. It's on the lower end of the spectrum. His shot creating actions is midway. But yeah, it's very low. So if we move into the mid part of the database, you can see like passes attempted. So it seems like he's very active. Pass completion is a lot more higher. I'm giving off the vibes that he's probably more of a simpler passer, a guy that just likes to keep it nice and short and pass it to maybe more of the creative players. You can see his progressive passes and his progressive carries are above average. It's decent, above average. Obviously, it can be better. Nothing like Haidara's one. If you see Haidara's, his progressive passes and carries were a lot more higher. But we can see here that his passes attempted and completed is better there. But I mean, overall, you can see where Haidara has a lot of greens here. You see here with Babika Kamara, it's more of a controlled, more of a, yeah. It's not as I would say, exciting in that sense. I think he's more of a simple guy that just, likes to do the defensive duties. As you can see here, his tackles is pretty high, 81 percentile. He does about 2.8 tackles per game. And he's someone that, his clearances as well, as you can see, he doesn't like to pressure a lot. So what I'm probably hoping for is that this guy's positioning is pretty good. He's a guy that, he's positioned really well because he's not pressuring anyone. So he's probably in the right place at the right time, and he's making those challenges, you know what I mean? And then he's laying it off, like he's doing that simple pass and laying it off to the people that can carry the ball and do something with it. But what's you guys' thoughts on Babika Kamara? Is he someone that's concerning you? Is he someone that you think can work on our team? Is he someone that you would want based on what you saw?
One thing about stats, obviously, when we're comparing defenses to it, sometimes you gotta look at what system that they're playing.
Yeah.
I know this guy in Marseille, he played the DM by himself. He played that by himself. And obviously, if you see like his attacking inputs, you will just straight away just kind of ignore that. And from the research that I've been reading and hearing too, he is one of the best DM in the French league.
Okay.
By playing by himself there. Because nowadays, a lot of the times, a lot of DMs play as a, double pivot there anyways, So they are being asked more to do like attacking kind of like duties. So the thing about him is, obviously, you see the attacking bit, straight away, it might worry you too. But you don't know when he's being encouraged to go forward, what he can actually do when he's being encouraged to go forward too. Yeah. That's what we don't know about too. But his tackling and everything like that, it looked very good too. I've seen a few clips. I haven't watched him in a full game. I've seen a very few clips of him too. And once again, 22 years old, he comes with better coaching and everything like that. I don't see, you cannot just go wrong with that. When players are coming and they're showing the potential, all they need to do is give them a bit of game time and just like teach them, get them grounded. And you see them walking high, the sky up the roof though. But as I said to you, compared to him and what's the other guy's in the game?
Haidara,
he played a double pivot, so he's more encouraged to go forward. He kind of like, he is more, he playing the same system that United play now. So he's encouraged to go more forward. Whereas this guy just say, hey, your job is just stay here, do the simple stuff for me, protect the defense, and I don't want you, like, he play more like as if like he don't even go past his own half-back. He's just staying there, just chilling, protecting the defense too. So they are both two kind of like, they are different kind of like DMs. You always have different kind of like DMs, and that's what
he looks like more of a defensive one, isn't it?
Right, this is more like a defensive one. I'm here to start attack. And if you look at his pass attempts, his pass completion, you can just see him like, he is the kind of one that say, I'm sitting here, I get the ball, and I'm just passing it. I'm just giving it to you lot to go. When the ball is coming to, I tackle the ball and I just give it to you. That's his job. He's more a bit like what Declan Rice will do in a team. They will never score goals, they will never be getting your assists, but they are so important in a team because they literally protect the defense, and they also start the attack too. So this is the kind of ones that they are too.
Edwin, so looking at these stats, is there anything that pleases you or concerns you in it? Like, for example, like the pressures in sort of 90 minutes is in the lower end of the spectrum percentile. Is that something that worries you or anything else in Ralf Rangnick's system where, you know, it's been heavily like talked about the pressing style?
Yeah, like obviously his tackling is high, his pass attempts and stuff like that. But in terms of like pressures and stuff like that, he may just be a bit off compared to the guy we saw before.
Yeah, so pressures there is 61, isn't it?
Yeah. So on an overall stat, Hedera looks better. But as you say, with coaching, anything's possible. But on paper, Hedera looks better than him so far. And there's not like there's a big difference in their age.
There's not. There's only 1 year between them. And do you know what I mean? I feel like you got potentially two guys that can be long-term sort of players and key players for Manchester United and fill that void defensively, what we've been seeking for. You know, we've been seeking for someone defensive midfielder to help mop up a lot of their attacks, opposition attacks, and you potentially got two people here that can do that and do that job well. But let's compare them now to Scott McTominay. So I wanted to look at these stats and then think, you know what? You know, we were talking and we were thinking, you know, how did these guys compare to what we've already got in midfield? And obviously Scott McTominay and Fred are some of the two key guys. So this is Fred's stats. Now, this will hopefully give us a better understanding of whether these stats are reflective of what we've been seeing, the eye test, because obviously we watch Scott McTominay week in, week out. Now, what this is showing is, his non-penalty goals is 0.06 per 90, so he's mid-range for players compared in the top 5 leagues in his position. Again, expected goals and assists, etc. Assists is pretty low. Expected assists is pretty low, but that's what I would expect anyway from Scott McTominay. Shot creating actions is pretty low.
Is this McTominay or Fred?
This is Scott McTominay.
Okay.
That's what I expect, because he's been restricted in a sense where he hasn't been allowed to go forward anyway and contribute. We saw that one season, was it last season, where he got 7 goals or whatever like that in all competitions. So we know that he has got some attacking threat, but according to this, anyway, it's not showing that. And we can now vouch for that and say, you know, Scott McTominay has been playing in the pivot and he's not really been allowed to progress as much. Sometimes he does, but not all the time. And then, but what we see here is a bit more of a positive showing. So we can see pass completion is very high. Not the best. Progressive passes again is in a 65 range percentile. Progressive carries 69. So slightly higher. I guess this one is a bit more decent, I would say, when compared to Babika Kamara, for example. But what is a bit shocking, and I was surprised by, is the pressures. Because I thought that someone like Scott McTominay, when I was watching Man United, and him and Fred were doing a lot of the chasing and you know, chasing guys down. So when I saw 17%, I was a bit shocked. What is? How about you guys?
I've always said this though, because I remember last time we were having this argument. I remember in a group chat, and I was saying, and I said McTominay don't press. McTominay don't press. And then everybody was just having it like, nah, McTominay press. Like, no, he does not press. What he's very good at is he run around, and most of the time too, he positions himself in a place where he intercepts. If you see the interception there, you can just see the interception there too. That's what he's very good at, the interception. But pressure ball, he don't press, but and I always said it, in the long haul, he's gonna lose his place in the team, because one thing that Rat like in his team is the pressure and pass attempts. And if you see those two here, they are very low. McTominay, one of his best attributes, anytime you have seen him in the United game that he has played well, is when he has the ball and he runs with the ball. That is one of McTominay's best. When we watch against Villarreal, what was he doing when he had the ball?
And his progressive carries here is more on the higher region when compared.
That's what he's good at. If you look at his dribbling complete, that's what he's good at. And you know what?
I think
he
this
always
has
looked to me.
confused me. You know, I think the interceptions and the blocks, especially and stuff like that, clearances, you can see they're very high. And I think that this is what was probably confusing me, thinking like, you know, what do you mean that he doesn't pressure? Look, but then what we're seeing is him getting a lot of interceptions, blocks, and clearances.
When you watch United, what have we always? You know what? This film makes sense. And this is one of the things. When you watch McTominay, one thing that we United fans have been screaming about him is he always right next to Maguire and Lindelof. So most of the time they look like they are playing in a back three than he is actually playing in midfield. So that means that he ain't gonna pressure no one and he ain't gonna be making no tackle anyway. And when you are in that kind of like when you are very close to the defense, if an attacking player tries to make a risky pass, who is there to get the ball? If they make a wrong pass, you are going to be there to what? To get the ball. That is the interception and the blocking. But you will never ever. Have you seen how his tackling is so low? See how his tackling is so low. If he was a proper DM, his tackle and pressures should be a bit more high. But because of the way in which he play more as a centre back than he play as a DM. He's always, and that has been our number one complaint, that he's always glued to the two centre backs. That is more like he is kind of like, it's like United play as a three back, but with one right ahead than the other two. And this just shows the two. Area one clearance block. That is something that you will have with centre backs. You go show any centre backs, and those four key areas, the clearance, the interception, they are going to be high on every centre back's thing. But the midfield areas that he's supposed to have, they're not really that good. They are not really good, but they are not really good.
Do you know what? So I'll get onto you, Edwin, with this stat as well. But what I'm seeing from Scott McTominay is a guy that, attacking wise, and you know, I said it before because you know he's in that double pivot. Maybe he's not allowed to. He's brought in to do a lot of the dog work, so it's pretty low. But then what I'm seeing from this bit here, so we can see like his defensive type of attributes is okay in these regions, interceptions, blocks, clearances, and that. But tackles and pressures is not all that, right? But what I'm seeing is when you're comparing this guy, when you're looking at Scott McTominay, what I'm seeing, and we'll get on to Fred in a minute, is if there's anyone that's probably going to come out of the midfield. Now Ollie's not here, and Scott McTominay hasn't got that tie in there. It could probably be Scott McTominay that gets benched for whoever comes in next. Do you know what I mean? Because he may be sacrificed. Because what I'm looking at this year, you're seeing Scott McTominay's figures, right? It's like the 60s and 70s, right? 60s and 70s. Maybe let's just say roughly 70s. You're comparing him with like Bebico Kamara. He's like low in the 60s, low mid 60s apart from those two, right? But then we look at Haidara, right? He's scoring very high. Do you know what I mean? He's scoring like averaging about high 70s. Do you know what I mean? If you take this all into consideration, he's averaging like high 70s or 80s, early 80s, right? It just goes to show like this guy, when I'm looking at Scott McTominay, I'm looking at him now stats-wise. I'm thinking, what does he really offer that we don't really already have in Fred? Do you know what I mean? Like Fred, we'll get into Fred's stats now, but like, what does Scott McTominay offer us? Why do we need him here? Because attacking wise, he's not doing that great. So what is he giving us? What do we need him?
Do you know why we need him? We just need him. Do you know what we need him for? We just need him for backup. Like, we need a squad, isn't it? So I think right now we should just keep him as a backup. Like, apart from that, I don't really see anything else. So especially when you're looking at stat.
You won't say, you know what? Let's bring in Haidara and Bebico Kamara.
No, because you still don't want to change up too much. You know what I mean? Like bringing two midfielders. Yeah, they still need time to. You still want to have people that understand, isn't it? And sometimes it's good. Look, we were saying a lot of things about what's that guy's name? This right back.
What, Trippier?
No.
Friends.
Well,
for United or for who?
No, for United. What's his name? The Portuguese one.
Delo.
Yeah, look at him. He's been playing well. So sometimes you need that chance or that pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. Scott McTominay, though, is like, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I mean, he's a guy that he's active, he's fit, he's strong, whatever like that. But I mean, if he's a squad player, English quarter and all of that stuff, it would be good to keep him for that reason. But I mean, it's definitely looking like there is statistically.
But then Fems, another big problem is when you play in a double pivot, yeah. One of the main reasons why you play in a double pivot is that you can go up and down. Like, because the thing is, even if you make an attacking run, there's going to be someone out there literally protecting you. Yeah. So most of the time, you're supposed to do that. And United got two guys here. I mean, Fred in recent games has been making more runs into the penalty box. Look at McTominay, touches it in attacking pen area, but that is very poor. Compare that right now to Hedera right now, but that's 89, you know?
Yeah, there is one. 89 in attacking areas. He's active.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And he does a lot.
Because look, and this is why United, we've been struggling in the past, because I always say this. In some games here, when your attackers are out of form and everything, you need your midfielders to chip in goals. McTominay and Fred, in a whole combined season, should be scoring 15 goals between them. Easily should be scoring 15 goals between them, because when you play for a team as United, where we're going to be doing more of the attacking than defensively, you're not going to be doing too much defensive work anyway. So you're going to have to be able to chip in attacking wise with your assists and with your goals, because you're not going to have a lot of work to do. Same reason why goalkeepers now. There's a reason why goalkeepers they got introduced, that they need to be more involved in play, because if your team is attacking all the time, it means you're not going to have nothing to do. That's why now they want goalkeepers to be more involved by being a sweeper, by being involved in passing play. So if United are going to be a team that we are always going to attack most of the 90 minutes here, as a midfielder that play for United, yes, you're going to do the defensive duty, but you need to chip in the goals, but you cannot just come there and just be hiding for 90 minutes, but and both him and Fred, that's when they have been suspects. Therefore, they need to chip in the goals, because if you don't, then the team is just carrying you, but they're just carrying you.
No, I hear you, and I think having someone that's a bit more balanced that can do. But the thing we struggle with Pogba, we're playing one of them and then a DM and then Pogba. It's just that balance just isn't enough defensively in the team. But maybe, you know, with Varane in the team, you know, we'll be able to see a bit more of a possibility.
Because United have had midfielders that used to score goals. Even Carrick will get you at least like 5-6 goals a season, but Spurs used to get you a lot of goals by arriving in the penalty box very late. You know, make yourself an option outside the penalty area, or have a shot in you. Fred can shoot. I don't know how he scored that Crystal Palace goal. McTominay can shoot, but he just never in the position for them to like cross it and give it to him. I don't know, but that's why we always call them McFred, because they both kind of like combine and be doing one job of what one defensive midfielder to do, and it's like they both kind of like split. One of them kind of like do the pressuring bit, and the other one do the blocking bit, where in actual fact, all of them should have the defensive side, all of them should be having the same. Naturally, the pressure, tackle, interception, block, all of them should have the same thing. But I'm pretty sure if we go look at Fred right now, the blocking and the clearance for Fred might be lower, and then the pressure and tackles might be higher with Fred compared to that.
Let's move on to that whilst we try and quickly wrap it up now, because obviously the game's on. We want to catch it. We ain't got that much time left on the clock, so let's go through Fred. Now this is Fred. Now Fred, surprisingly, as you can see there, Fred scouting report. This ain't no different type of Fred. This is our Fred. And as you can see here, like he's looking a bit more positive in terms of, this is Scott McTominay's, and this is surprising, right? He's looking a lot more positive, right? In terms of expected goals, expected assists, non-penalty goals, non-penalty assists, etc. Shot creating actions. He's looking a lot more positive, and that kind of surprises me, because I know Fred has the ability to do so and get forward and do all of that stuff. But I didn't feel like he was doing that enough to warrant it more than Scott McTominay. In actual fact, I thought it would be Scott McTominay. But what does look really pleasing on the eye is the pressures. This is why we're talking about Ralf Rangnick and him fitting the system. The pressures is through the roof. Tackles, right up there, as you can see. Interceptions, right up there, as you can see. Blocks, he's basically almost 100% in it right there. Do you know what I mean? Clearances isn't so good, and aerial drills one, obviously, he doesn't do that, right? It's not on his side, the height thing, but he's very, very good defensively. And what that tells me is, right, is I don't understand why he can't work next to someone that's very creative like a Donny van der Beek or Fred. When he's so good,
because you need. But then you know what? Just look at the bit there that says progressive carry on, dribble completed, touches and attacking penalty, and then progressive passes received. That is where Fred's weakness is. We all know, if you watch United games a lot, you know that one of Fred's weaknesses is normally receiving when he turns his back and he receives the ball from the defense like that. He's very slow in terms of like getting catch on, or he doesn't know how to.
He holds on to the ball for too long, and he gets. Dini said it as well.
Yeah, when he gets the ball and then he doesn't have option to pass into. He doesn't have the progressive carry on or the dribbles to actually get his way out of there. Whereas someone like if you give the ball to McTominay, who, by the way, he had a lot. If you get him and he cannot see a plan next to him to pass it, he's more able to dribble and get out of trouble than Fred will, and that's why Fred get caught on, because United, as you know, under Oli, because we didn't have a style of play or a system to play in. As a DM, when you get a ball, you don't know where your guys are, because naturally they're all kind of like marked, and you need to either think of your feet, either you booting it out to nowhere else, or they're gonna clamp you on the ball. And that has always been his problem, because we didn't have a style of play. When he received the ball, he didn't have nowhere to pass it to, and he's not a guy to know how to carry the ball and be running with. That has never been his game. And if you see that is where that's where he needs to work on. You know, in terms of being like knowing how to like dribble and stuff like that. But he is that kind of a player. He will fit into Ralf's system, but then Oli was trying to make him play more as how a Declan Rice should play. But when he's not that type of player, man, he's just not that type of player. But let's see Hedera kind of like what do you call it? I want to see carry-ons and dribble, progressive dribbling. See. Progressive dribbling completed, and then progressive carry on. See, so he look like someone I will be able to get his way out of the
trouble.
team.
Yeah,
get his way out of trouble if he receive the ball, because Fred can receive the ball good, but what happens when teams are pressuring you and every single teammate of yours is smart? Sometimes you need to be able to dribble your way out of trouble, and that's where he kind of like lacks.
So Edwin, let's get on to you then. What's your final thought? So this is Fred, as you can see. You know, what we can see, I'm surprised if his attacking ability is here. It's not the best, but again, it's higher than Scott McTominay's, as we can see. It's that way better than Scott McTominay's. But his defensive abilities is just through the roof. So what's your thoughts? Do you feel like Fred will complement someone like?
I feel like
Hedera, or do you feel like he's too similar, or do you feel like Kamara? Or
I think maybe Hedera, you know, because you know what I think here? When you look here, right? Like right now in the system, Fred works for us. You know what I mean? And his stats are good, but like you also have to. He's actually been playing well, so I think if we got a DM like a Hedera, it's probably best for Fred, because Hedera can sit and chill. And then Fred can do all these running around, you know what I mean? The energy we need in the center of the park. So I think, maybe Fred complemented with a new DM, whether it's Hedera or someone else. And then McTominay will just probably have to sit bench as a backup.
Do you know what I'd love to see, right? I'd love to see a Pogba or Bruno, Sancho, whoever it is, AMC, whatever combination that is, with Hedera and Fred behind him on smoke. Yeah, that would be.
But you know, the finish, potentially United can get both Hedera and Kamara, because Kamara is going to be free next summer.
Yeah.
And Hedera got a release clause of like 30 million anyways. And Pogba is going to leave on anyway, or even if he doesn't leave, we don't see him playing in the midfield there. But my problem is, if Ralf is going to be our manager next season, then you get both. But if he's not going to be a manager and you're going to get someone like a possession manager to come in, like your Ten Hag or anything like that, they need that kind of like DM. Actually, Kamara can still do the job anyways. I say long DM too anyway. So I say go for both. I say go for both of them. If you can just do a deal for both of them, well, both of them is going to cost you 30 million. That you can't go wrong there. And then our 4 midfielders for that role is going to be Scott McTominay, Edera, Fred, and Kamara, man. So 4 of them, and then you just kind of like rotate them too.
Do you know what I'm a bit reserved?
Fred is actually 27 too. You know, Fred is actually 27 too. So he's getting old.
I'm a bit reserved because a part of me is holding out for Jude Bellingham to finally come to Manchester United, and I've been hearing reports about Youri Tielemans as well, being linked to Manchester United as well, because you know he's got like maybe a year or so left on his contract. Expires in 2023. So in terms of the numbers, I was just hoping that hopefully we can not have too many midfield. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I don't know if we're going to get 2 midfielders knowing that Ralf Rangnick hasn't got the permanent position yet. I feel like, yeah, I don't know. Because if Ten Hag comes in and he doesn't
he's going to get it. He's going to get it. Because it don't make sense what United are doing now, bringing in new coaches in and all that kind of like, just so that, because look, he can bring his coaching staff in, and yes, I think most of them are going to be on a short contract or whatever it is, but at the end of the summer, as I said to you, as long as he gets top 4 and beat Atletico Madrid in the quarters and just get to the last to make it good, they're gonna keep him, because it don't make sense to bring in a new person in and then they have to do their whole new coaching, change the style of play and everything. I really think, and the thing is, United as a club here, they have been looking for a manager that they can trust to do all the recruitment for them, run like the football side for them. Because one thing that the people upstairs, they are very good at is they are very good with the non-football side. And they need someone who is a good manager that can buy the right players for the right money, will play good football and then be getting results on the pitch. A bit like how Ferguson was doing it. When Ferguson was manager, because he was doing good on the pitch, we never ever heard nothing about, the Glazers were making bad decisions and stuff like that. But when you get managers like how Oli was and everything like that, Oli, for example, you can give Oli power because he is a guy that don't like to hold too much power. You can tell that he avoid power. You know, Mourinho too was a guy where you give him too much power, he abused the power because he wanted to literally just change every single player. That is like, look, I don't want this young guy. I want the old guys to come and win a year, 2, and then I will leave the club in dismay. So they couldn't trust him with power, you know, and that's a problem. But I think the way Ralf is here, Ralf is a guy that I see this Ralf says like, look, we can trust him and give him power. And one, we know he's not going to abuse power because he's very sensible where he's not going to be giving like stupid contract to players.
Yeah, he ain't going to be doing
any
no
reasonable man. And he's going to also scout and get us good players for cheap. So I just see him kind of like, because I think he kind of like fits what the people upstairs want, where he just come and take the pressure off them by using like his scouting experience and by just doing all the kind of like footballing work for them. So all they just doing is, how much is he? Okay, we trust you. Sign, he's young, so even if it doesn't go well, we can still sell him and get money back. Not like a manager that say, look, I need this 30-year-old guy for 2 years, and after 2 years' time, he ain't gonna be that. Then the club is gonna be like, do we want to do that? Look at Matic is a perfect example. Mourinho signed him. The club didn't want to sign him. They signed him. He gave us like 1 good year after that. Now you can't even sell him to make no money back. You know, and that's the biggest problem too. Oli was good, but he only knew how to scout in England. He just wanted to buy the players that he see play in the Premier League. He didn't know how to scout players anywhere else, and that was one of the biggest kind of like flaws. So with Oli, we were always going to overpay all the time, and when you overpay all the time, United too, we're very stingy how we spend, and because of that, we could never fix all our problem in one transfer window. Whereas with Ralf, it will give you the bargain here and there that with 100 million, you can literally get 3 or 4 quality players with 100 million with Ralf. Whereas in Oli, 100 million just get you like 1 player, aka Harry Maguire, man.
It's true though. It's true. It's true. I saw that started lineup with Ralf Rangnick, and he had some of the star players today, man. Firmino, etc. Mane, I think, was in that list. A few
Mane was
guys.
there too.
And yeah, he would have scouted them or signed them for cheap. But guys, man, it was a good discussion, man. Obviously, we got to get a bit of statistical insight into what these players are about. Haidara, Kamara, and if there's any latest news that comes out of other players, then we can also look into them as it is. But we can see that Haidara is looking like an ideal, and Kamara, to be fair, but Haidara is looking like an ideal fit for Manchester United based on stats. But I'll be keeping a close eye on him as the weeks go on and seeing if I can get a few 90 minutes under the belt and watch him play. But guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe.
Hey, hold on, man. Hold on,
He has to do this.
We didn't even big our big brother Edwin and NK, man. For joining the night community. I know we talked about it at the beginning, but it's not on camera here, man. So well done, man.
Drop the plug.
Joining the night community, man. What's it about anyways, though? What's it about?
Yeah, so thanks, guys. Yeah, so we've been partnered up with Nike and got funding to provide free services to the black community in London. So the free services will be like group sessions. So there's a black men's support group, a women's support group, and we'll also pay up to 20 sessions for individuals to get free therapy sessions. So all the sessions are like delivered by qualified, trained black therapists as well. So it's kind of like a charity that's created by the black people and for the black people.
Look, one question.
Okay.
You get discount on Jordan 4s and Jordan 1s. On it. Hey,
so if anybody want to know more about it or get these free services, what do they need to do? Is there like a link or something?
Yeah, they could check our website on www.resetmh.co.uk or follow us on reset_mh on Instagram and socials, like Twitter.
Guys, remember to follow that, look into it. Man, we'll drop the link in the description as well if you want to check that out. After
Thanks, guys.
leave a comment, man. Guys, man.
Yeah. And everybody to stay safe, man. And Merry Christmas. It's our last show before Christmas, isn't it?
It's the last show before Christmas, bro. I see you with your breath.
Yeah, happy Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Hey, on the 27th, yeah. Let's do a Christmas jumper, even though it's over, bro.
Bro, I ain't got no jumper, bro.
Bro, you better get yourself a Christmas jumper, Christmas hat, bro. Is it going to be the last OT for the year, though? On the 27th?
We'll
is it going to be the last game for the year?
We'll try and squeeze in another one.
When's the next game?
On the 27th? When's the next game? Is it before the New Year's or after New Year's? Because I don't know. It might be United last game of the year, you know?
Let me check because I know that our fixtures has gone all over the place.
If it is, bro, we need to do something special for the last game of the season, bro.
Look, our next game after that is on the 30th, so we got Burnley. So yeah, we're good.
Okay then. We got Burnley. Okay then. Okay.
All right, guys. Peace.
Okay.